Bounty Hunter. The circuit flashed. The figure flipped a switch, regarded the image on the screen. He noted the readout. Patrol wanted list. Location, New Texas. Suspect to be captured. Reward, 50,000 credits. Once, New Texas had been a different kind of planet, thought Bravestarr. Before the great Curium rush, before the prospectors and the merchants and the crooks came. It had never been a Garden of Eden. It was too hot, too arid ever to have been that. Life had always been hard on New Texas. Now it was a frontier planet. The riches of Curium, source of fuel for interstellar spaceships across the galaxy, had attracted both humans and aliens to the hostile planet, like moths to a flame. Outlaws, along with Curium crystals, New Texas had in abundance. But it only had one lawman. He was enough. Marshal Bravestarr stepped into Main Street, shielding his eyes from the fierce, blood-red sun that hung mercilessly overhead. His footsteps beat their familiar track to Handlebar's Cantina. At the bar, a customer pleaded with the massive Rigellan, who was the owner. Handlebar was not to be shifted. 2 Curium nuggets the Sweetwater. Ice, 3 nuggets extra, he repeated. Okay, cut the Sweetwater. I'll just take the ice, said the customer, in a tall glass. Coming right up. Bravestarr took his usual place and looked around the bar. There was a crowd of prospectors celebrating a rich strike. He noticed they'd ordered a whole pint of best Sweetwater each. In the corner, seated at a battered, upright piano, sat Suggs, Handlebar's robot pianist. Suggs still only playing Summertime? Asked Bravestarr. His programming's all shot, said Handlebar, polishing a glass. I tried putting him on random, but he just improvises. Bravestarr crossed over to where Suggs sat. Play it, Suggs, he said. Suggs looked up. Marshal, he stuttered in a mechanical growl. Bad. He's coming. Bad. It ain't human, Hex. With that, he turned to the keyboards and played a one-note perfect version of Summertime. Bravestarr listened thoughtfully and finished his drink. Thanks, Suggs. So long. Sunlight blazed across his features as he hit the sidewalk again. 3030 was waiting for him, a scowl on his face. You shouldn't encourage that heap of old junk, the equestroid said. He gives robots a bad name. Only the other day he was picking up interstellar radio traffic. I tell you, he's long overdue for the meltdown. Bravestarr's private train of thought was interrupted by Doc Clayton, who called to him as he crossed the street. If it's about that annual checkup you mentioned, said Bravestarr, turning to go, it'll have to wait. Can't put it off forever, Marshal, he insisted. I'll expect you in my surgery first thing in the morning. He turned on his heels and went on his way. 3030 stifled a grin. You sure told him, Marshal. Yep, no question who's the boss there. Neither he nor Bravestarr saw the sleek one-man planet hopper coast into land at the shuttle pad behind Main Street. The livery stable was about to close for the day when the stranger came in. The Brown triplets, Chris, Triss, and Dan, welcomed the new customer as only prairie people could, with genuine friendliness, a warm smile, and an eye for how much they could make out of him. Welcome, stranger, said Chris. A pleasure, said Triss. To serve you, added Dan. How we can helpings? First, I need a turbo mule. Second, you make things to order? Asked the stranger. Then going on without waiting for an answer, I need this made day after tomorrow. Oh, letting me see, said Chris. Metal oblong box, 6 feet 4 by 2 feet wide, 1 foot deep. What is this? Said Triss. The stranger glowered menacingly. I'm not paying you to ask questions, just to make the box. Make box certainly, sir, said Dan. No problems. The stranger took some nuggets from his pocket and counted out a few. Chris touched the nuggets. Thank you, sir. That'll do niceness, said Chris. And, your name? For records, you know. Kidson. Kit Kidson. The brown triplets watched him leave on the hired turbo mule. Dan suppressed a shiver. "Did you seeing those eyes?" he asked. "Make my blood run cold. Something inhuman's about them. Should we tell Marshal?" "Hear no evil," said Chris. "See no evil," added Tris. "Oh," said Dan. "Speak no evil, I readings you." "Sorry about the injection," said Doc Clayton, washing his hands. "Have to run the curium allergy test just in case. You'll feel a little groggy for about 24 hours. Bravestarr sat up. The door to the outer office clicked open quietly, and the next moment Kidson stood in the doorway. "Bravestarr?" Something in the question made Bravestarr wary, and dulled though his brain was, he managed to utter, "Speed of the Puma!" A fraction of a second before the neutralaser blast hit the wall behind him. Although weakened, the spirit of the Puma that rose spectrally behind him gave him the necessary speed to reach the street unharmed. He had to think fast. In his present state, he'd be a sitting target. The strata coach rumbled along Main Street, bound for one of the mining camps with a payroll. Deputy Fuzz was riding shotgun and spotted Bravestarr was in trouble the moment he burst out of Doc Clayton's door. Grabbing the reins, he swung the coach across the street. "Hop aboard!" he yelled. Deputy Fuzz's multi-rope coiled round Bravestarr's waist and pulled him on the speeding vehicle. The street was empty by the time Kidson made the boardwalk. A cold light came into his eyes, a look of ruthless determination. He swung into the saddle of his turbo mule. It was time to seek out his ally, Tex Hex. When he was sure there was no pursuit, Deputy Fuzz pulled the strata coach to a halt. Stepping down, he went to check on Bravestarr. "You okay?" "Weak," said Bravestarr, shaking his head to try and clear it. He took a deep breath. "Thanks, Deputy. I reckon I owe you for that. Some guy with real mean eyes had the drop on me." "Mean eyes, huh?" asked Deputy Fuzz thoughtfully. "Seeming to me I heard some talks of him amongst the prairie peoples at livery stable. Came in last night. Name of Kidson. Kit Kidson. You knowing him?" "I've heard of him," said Bravestarr. "Bounty hunter out of Cygnus 5. Can't figure out why he's after me, though." The image of Suggs swam into Bravestarr's mind. "I think I've got it figured," he said. "I'd better call 3030 on the Star Talker. I reckon we can expect company soon. It won't take Kidson long to pick up my trail." It was a short wait. "They told me you were the best, Kidson," Tex Hex was complaining. Kidson eyed him coldly. "I am. You want to try me, Hex?" Viper interrupted. "Quit jawing, you two. We came to do a job, remember? We got a fix on him now. Kidson will take Bravestarr. We'll handle the equestroid. Split up." They arrived in time to see the strata coach throwing up a trail of dust as it disappeared over the plain. Despite his protests, Deputy Fuzz had taken the payroll to safety after 3030 had arrived. Tex Hex put his hexmaker to work. As they closed on 3030 and found the range, he dug into his bandolier and selected one of his hex loads. The air crackled with freeze rays, and then the hex load burst over 3030's hideout. Immediately, the rocks transformed into a stone cage from which the courageous equestroid could find no escape. Tex Hex and Viper closed in. Meanwhile, Bravestarr and Kidson were playing a deadly game of hide-and-seek. It ended when the bounty hunter got the drop on his prey from behind. "Nice and easy now, Bravestarr," said Kidson, "and keep that hand away from the neutralaser. No tricks." Bravestarr let his neutralaser fall. This was it. Kidson had him cold. "Makes no difference to me if you come quietly or not. Reward's the same," said Kidson, coming round to face Bravestarr. "If there's one thing I can't stand, it's an android slaver like you. Speaking personally, I don't hold with the idea that the only good android is a tame android." As he spoke, Kidson pulled open a flap in his shirt and made an adjustment to his control panel. Bravestarr looked down the barrel of the neutralaser and remained ice cool. I never knew an android to make a mistake before on an electronic ID. Kitson's eyes narrowed. I'm not programmed to make mistakes, mister. The neutralaser hovered before Bravestarr's face. Unless someone's been tampering with the database, feeding it false information, observed Bravestarr. Check it out, my android friend. 3030 was making a bold stand. Trapped and unable to maneuver for position, he was doing his best to hold off Tex-Hex and Vipra as they advanced from opposite directions. Tex-Hex grinned evilly as he launched another hex load at the beleaguered equestroid. This is where 3030 becomes 00, he hissed, and moved in to deliver the final blow. The rock above him vaporized into 1,000,000 pieces. Hex looked round in amazement to see Kitson with his neutralaser leveled at him. That's far enough, said Kitson. Violation of computer records is a serious crime, mister. Bravestarr joined him. It was a neat ploy to falsify a priority arrest order for me, Tex-Hex, said the lawman. But my friend Kitson doesn't take to being lied to. Tex-Hex didn't wait a second longer. Firing his hexmaker, he released a cloud of sleep gas. Kitson and Bravestarr were fast enough to throw themselves clear, but by the time the danger was past, Tex-Hex and Vipra were long gone. 3030 was mighty glad to see a friendly face. About time the cavalry arrived, he said from inside his stone cage. Before, I had to do my impression of 3030's last stand. Summoning the strength of the bear, Bravestarr lifted the huge rocks and freed his companion. As they parted company from Kitson, the android paused to say his farewells. Reckon I'll be heading off planet now, Bravestarr, said Kitson. But I'll be back. Only next time, I'll come looking for the right target.